Well, hello everybody. Good afternoon. My name is Shoji Sataki, and I'm a professor at West Virginia University. And myself and Kelly O'Brien have been the ones that are kind of coordinating the Fab Lab. And this is Fab Lab 2.0. Can you guys all hear me? Okay. All right. And so this is the second year of a 3-year project that we are working with NCECA. And I just want to let you know, you guys are all being live streamed right now worldwide, and through the 92nd Street White live stream portal. So if you want to make a scene to the world, then this is your opportunity. And so, we do want your feedback. The lecture you hear today, or the demonstration and stuff that you see today and tomorrow, because we will be doing a third-year phase of this in Pittsburgh next year in 2018. And we'll be inviting all of the artists that have participated this year and last year back with some of the new artists. Because it's like buying digital printing is like buying like a new car, right? Like, as soon as you drive it off the lot, it's not worth, the value's in 20% because there's something newer and faster and quicker happening as soon as you turn the page. So there'll be some more really exciting things that are happening, not only happening this year, but it'll be happening next year. And I have the before I have the honor of introducing our next presenter, please make sure that your cell phones are on buzz or vibrate, right, so it doesn't ring. And like I said, you can actually go on the NCECA app and give us a lot of feedback, and give us suggestions, recommendations. If you want to air out grievances, I'll read those as well. So. I have the honor of introducing our next presenter, and is someone that I not only highly respect the work, but I consider her to be a really good friend and a partner in some of the things that we do in China together. And her name is Carolyn Chang, and she wears many hats, right? And not only is she an internationally recognized artist, she's a founder and director of the Pottery Workshop. She also has facilitated a 3D digital programming in China called eDesign. And that's what she's here to talk about, some of the things that she's been doing uniquely in China. So please give a warm welcome to Carolyn Chang.
Thank you. So can you hear me? Yes? Okay. First, I have to tell you a story. When I was doing my master's back in 1986, my professor said to me in San Francisco, he said, art is dead in painting, sculpture, and photography. Art is now on the internet. And that was back in 1986, and I'm like, well, what do you mean? What's internet? And they said, oh yeah, this military thing just came out with this thing that you can talk to people from all over. This is a network. And San Francisco was the first place to have an ISP. So I said, well, can I come over and look at your state of the art, whatever it is? And he said, yeah, okay, come over. So I went, and he showed me, like, okay, I have this computer. It's a state-of-the-art IBM 128K, two floppy disks and portable. And it was like totally gigantic. And then he said, and it was CDOS. www wasn't even invented yet. And so I was like, wow, can I work for you? So he was like, sure. And so I worked for him. I watched him talk to people in the Bay Area and then organize events. And then soon after that, www was invented, and we were writing our own World Wide Web, like HTML programs. And so I think that today, 3D printing is like the day when I looked at that computer and it was 128K, because it's very new. The potential is so big, and we don't know it yet. But because I stood in that time when the computer was only 128K, and now it's like, I don't know what, like so big now, all the memory files. So I'm really interested as a ceramic artist to work with this kind of new technology. But we will never forget our handmade quality. We should never forget. So how do we do that is what eDesign, part of eDesign, we are looking into producing 3D design printed pieces and actually making them into products instead of just experimenting. because I've been here, this is the third year I've been back, and the first 2 years when they had the clay fab lab, it was very experimental, and so I wanted to make it sustainable. So what you see here are the first prototype pieces that we started, and it could be mass produced. So today I am here to just tell you our story of how we did it. So 2 years ago in Milan at the Salone, we were wandering around in the satellite show, and we met this award-winning for that year company called Exuberance. And they had all these 3D printed lighting and fashion accessories and clothing and everything. And they had one little, like a few set of cups that were 3D printed. And I looked at it, and it looked like a turd. It just went round and round like that, but in a sort of designy feel to it, but it didn't look really good. And I asked Stephen, the owner, I said, so what's the success rate of doing this cup? And he was like, oh, we had so much trouble. You know, we printed them, and they flopped. And I said, well, if you have any interest, we will come and work with you. And so you can design something, because I'm not a computer graphics person. So I said, you can design something, and then we can work on it. So last year, so rushed in January, he said, right, Milan's coming up in March, so we have this idea, and can you make it into like an actual piece? And so Carl and I were like, okay, you know, like this is so okay. So we made this piece for him. In 2 months, we whipped it out like from his program but there were so many problems. We showed it in Milan last year. But afterwards, they're like, okay, goodbye, you know, we've done this, been there, and then that's it. And we're like, no, we will continue to tweak it until it's actually a producible piece of ceramics. And how it's made, I'm going to show you right now. Anyway. So that's Exuberance, that's a logo in case they sue me for like telling you guys the secrets. Okay, so that was their computer-generated cup. And as you can see, because they're designers, they're like 3D printing designers, they don't think about the details of a ceramic piece like us potters do. Because when we trim a pot, we don't have a rim like that. It is so boring. It's like factory made. So we asked them to change the details of that, make it thinner. And then the handle was actually, this was a good handle, Carl? This was a good handle to make or no? Yeah. This was the good handle. So Carl went to Shanghai to their office and sat down with them and say, no, you have to adjust your handle, you have to make it this way, that way. And the potter, us makers went there and told them exactly how to make the handle so that it doesn't go plonk and fall when we fire. So there were all these small technical problems that we helped them finish. And so they took this, and in detail they designed it, and then had it printed in Shenzhen in nylon. Are they in parts or just one cup? 它是几个分子? 2 parts. So the handle and the cup itself were separately made, printed out, because you can just in China, you know, like do something that you like, and then have a company somewhere in Shenzhen to help you just print it out, and then you can just order it. So that's our secret. And then Carl was like, why do you have to tell them how we exactly make it? I'm like, go ahead and copy. It's not that easy to make a piece like that. So in the beginning, what we did was we made molds out of every single part of that cup, and then we put it together and slip cast it. And that was our first try. It didn't work very well because it warps because the handle would pull on the cup. So they were pouring and all that. And then the handle, we painstakingly took every single handle, cleaned it up. And if you look at these handles, this one you can see, it's actually 2 handles put together and then joint here, and then joint right here, 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 here. So it's like painstakingly handmade. And And then Carl was actually the guy who, from beginning to end, did it all. I just went along. So we cast it and then trimmed it, stuck it together, and we had so many problems, like because the handle would shrink faster than the cup, then of course it will crack, and then we had all these like lines that we had to clean up, and then we had these like little parts here that we had to trim by hand painstakingly, and every day, I think right now we can make about 20 maximum a day, and that's the mass production. In China, it's like mass production is several hundred to 1,000 a day, but we were like 20 is the maximum for handmade. But the handmade quality is there, and then so you can see when we first cast it in slip cast, it's actually not very good. These lines are not very clear. It's like kind of fuzzy. So now we've changed it. We use Jig and Jolly. We have the method, we use Jig and Jolly to do the body, and then we still use the painstaking, the horrible like the handles. So then we have to like burnish it after, we burnish it with a sandpaper, and then we have to fire it upside down because the cup now with the rim is so delicate, so we have to fire upside down with a prop so that it doesn't warp, and then fire upside again and put more glazes on top. So it's a lot of work, and then these are some of the things that we finally did. And so we tested a few glazes. So we wanted to make it so that yes, it is computer-generated design, but I hope that we can actually put our person inside these pieces. This is our bling bling piece. And then of course, this is the piece that you can see on the table. If you look carefully, this is this gold handle is so hard to paint because all these nooks and crannies, if you put too much stuff on it, then it sort of like, it pops and then has these like little volcano horrible side effects. And then of course, this is so hard to use a one hair brush to like paint all the gold on it. So that it is, yes, it is computer generated printed design, but in the end, we are the makers, so we make these. And I hope that this is our research, and I welcome people to come and work with us. If you're interested in an idea, you are the maker, but you also can work in the computer. We are always thinking about how to make it after you design it. So designers who can't make, they can come up to us, or like we can help them and with that design. So this was Exuberance in Milan last year, and we were all part of the exhibition. And then this is another project. I'm really not supposed to talk about this project, but they gave us some photographs of the pot and say, you go ahead and do it. And so we did it, and we sent it to them, and they were like, this is completely wrong. The carving is wrong, the lines are too, like deep and all that. And we're like, but if you just give us a sketch of it, we don't know what you're talking about. So this is all wrong. So they gave us a computer-generated object file, and then we were able to see exactly what they were asking us to make. And so it saves us a lot of time. And then now we were talking about, because this took us like a year, 8 months to try and make the prototype, and it kept failing. But now we were talking, if we can mold make with a object file, yes, it's very expensive, but we can make exactly what they want, and that would save us a lot of time. Instead of making the mold and it's all wrong, and then we have to make another mold and wait for it to dry for a month and a half, then we cast it, and then it collapses because in fact structurally it doesn't work. Well, all this will be solved if we can actually have a program, and I think that helps us as ceramic artists. If we want to make something difficult, we can use the program to help us realize what they're talking about, and then we can think of all the problems and come up with first. And then we can make the pot, and it's like environmentally more sustainable. So that's what we've been doing. Anyway, thank you. That's all my talk about. So you can actually come and look at the pieces, and if you have any questions, I can answer. It's a very short talk, but. Meanwhile.
Can we photograph? Can we take a photo?
Yes, you can take photographs.
Very cool.
Yeah, thank you.
I have a quick question.
Okay, what's your question?
Experimenting with actually printing molds,
Have we been experimenting with printing molds?
ceramic molds.
Ceramic molds.
Because I know that's what they're starting to do in Germany, so like castings, aluminum impellers and things like that. So I'm curious if they're trying to do that as well. So creating a negative space.
We have thought about it, but right now, for this one, it's impossible to do.
Right.
But for that large pot that is like 1.5 meters tall, that's kind of impossible to make too. So
This handle's pretty.
we will, if there's a project, then we will, if it's appropriate, we will use it. Yeah,
I want a picture of the movie star
we're
with
still on
Yeah.
TV, so you have to ask question and I have
wait for her
to,
to look at me.
yeah.
So, rather than printing it, taking blocks of plaster and milling it, has that ever been considered as an option?
Yes, we do have that kind of, getting a block of plaster and milling it also. There's this kind of technology in Jingdezhen. But for this piece, I think they just hand carved it. Yeah. But yes, it's possible. So yes, this is another way of making, and it saves us a lot of time of getting a craftsman to come and carve it. Yes, exactly.